Hello and welcome back to the Not the Old Firm YouTube channel. My name is Ben Banks. Back for another exclusive interview today, this time with former Kilmarnock star and current Watford goalkeeper Daniel Bachmann. The keeper's been down south now for the last couple of seasons with Watford after a really impressive loan spell at Killie really helped him cement his Watford future. Signed on a deal there until he's 30 years of age, currently 26. So he's got his long-term future at the Hornets sorted, and some of it is down to his form at Kilmarnock, currently playing second choice there to veteran goalkeeper Ben Foster, but is widely thought to be Watford's number one in waiting over the coming years. He's played cup games so far this season, and he's more than ready to take his number one shot in the Watford first team, but Scottish football fans perhaps know him better for his time at Kilmarnock. He did also have that short stint at Ross County earlier in his career, albeit never played many minutes, but it was his Kilmarnock spell under Steve Clarke where he really cemented himself as a top goalkeeper and proved his worth to Kilmarnock, who still remember him fondly, and the Watford faithful. So we hope you do enjoy this chat. It's really, really interesting, from everything from potential moves back to Rugby Park this year, his time at Watford so far, hopes for this season, and the mentality needed to be a second choice goalkeeper. So we hope you do enjoy. Please do check out other content on the channel. Get plenty of exclusive content on there, as well as our usual preview and review segments ahead of the Premiership weekend. Our review of the last weekend is currently on the channel, as well as the preview to come before the end of the week, where we'll hear from the likes of Jim Goodwin, Jack Ross, and Stephen Robinson. So we hope you do enjoy this one. Please do remember to subscribe to our channel to keep up to date with all of our videos. Clicking the wee bottom in the corner, keep the notification bell on as well so you never miss a video. But all the PR stuff out the way, I'll leave you with our chat with Daniel Bachmann. Please do remember to enjoy, subscribe to our channel, and until next time, take it easy. Get started then. So how's the season been so far in this weird, crazy year that we're all living through?
Yeah, it's just obviously everything's a bit different without fans, and like obviously the travel restrictions is all a bit, it's all a bit strange, but we're a bit used to it now. We've had it for the last 3 or 4 months, with the end of last season and into the new season. And we've had a fairly decent start, I would say. Obviously we're on 7 points now, I think, after 4 games. Preferably we'd want to be on 12 points. We know that league's very, very difficult, and it's literally anybody can beat anybody in that league, and it's very physical, very demanding, and from Friday, that's when it starts properly, really, because I think from now until January, other than international break, we play midweek games every single week. So I think it's something like 18 or 19 games from now until Christmas. So it's it's getting tough now, and that's nice. Obviously you want to have a lot of games, and hopefully we can get some good results.
Even for the EFL, I know the EFL is a bit worse in Scotland in terms of playing Saturday, Wednesday thing, but even 18 games, 19 games in a few months even sounds heavy for English football.
Yeah, obviously, everything's pushed, back a bit because, the season started over a month after what it would normally start like, because normally it would start there, I think, on the 5th of August, the championship. And we started on the 12th of September. And I think we finish a week earlier than usual as well because of the Euros. So you start over a month later and finish a week earlier. So, you've got to get those games in somewhere. Obviously, 46 games in a season is a lot. And like I said, because of the time frame we have, we need to get them all in, and hopefully play 38 games again next season.
Well, that's the thing, is not so much you won't want to view it as a transition season. Obviously, after Watford were quite an established Premier League club there for a couple of seasons, your goal will obviously be to get back up there, but I'm assuming there'll be a few mindful at the club that it will perhaps just take a bit of adjusting to get used to the Championship, because it is a hard league.
Yeah, it is. It is a completely different league than the Premier League, and we're a very different team as well now to last season. A lot younger, a lot fresher, a lot inexperienced as well. But I think it's a really good mix we have now, and I'm sure we can do really, really well this season.
Are you now solidly number 2 at Watford, obviously pushing Ben Foster for that number?
Yeah, obviously, my goal's to play, and I want to play on Friday. You know, that's how I am, and yeah, we've got a good competition going on now. Obviously, you know, Ben got the nod for the first few games of the season. I played the cup games, had 2 decent games in those games, and you know, that's all I can do. You know, whenever I play well and train well, and like I said, I'm ready to play. You know, I want to play. The manager knows that, the club know that. So yeah, that's where we're at.
You're tied down as well, fairly long term at Watford. I mean, at least, I mean, I know Ben Foster won't be packing it in tomorrow, but he's not getting any younger. I mean, so it must be nice for you to have that sort of long term progression plan, perhaps, that you can be, even if it's
yeah. Obviously, like you say, you know, Ben's not getting younger, and yeah, I'm here for, you know, at least another 4 years. So yeah, like I said, I'm ready to play now. You know, I want to play on Friday. You know, I want to play as soon as possible, and hopefully things will turn soon. You know, towards me.
It must be weird because I think down here, especially just with your time at Kilmarnock, and the usual age for youngsters coming down here is like maybe 19, 20, but like with 4 years left on your Watford deal, that'll take you up to your 30. So
yeah,
I think so. I mean, as for a goalkeeper as well, I know there's a
yeah. I mean, I'm 26. You know, I'm not the youngest, but you know, in goalkeeping terms, I am still pretty young. You know, because you know, I can play another 12, 13 years. You know, if I play another 12 years, that takes me to the age Fozzie's now. So, you know, I've got a long way ahead of me, and you know, a lot of experience to gain. And like I said, I'm ready to play now. And yeah, I'm sure it'll come soon.
What as well, I've heard a few managers being like it takes like a special kind of character, like goalkeeper wise, to like sort of be resilient enough to sort of bide their time on the bench and wait for that number one spot. How do you sort of deal with that? Because it can be frustrating, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's very difficult. You know, especially after that season I've had at Kilmarnock. The season just gone was mentally very, very difficult because obviously I've come back down after, you know, a great season with the club, for the club, and personally for me as well in Scotland. And yeah, the expectations were completely different to what's ended up happening in that, you know, in that season just gone, which is obviously, you know, not easy mentally. But like you say, goalkeeping is it's almost like, I wouldn't say a different sport, but it is in a way, you know, because we've got our own little team, and you know, only one can play, and it's very difficult, you know, mentally to not get frustrated. You'll get frustrated at some point, but to always stay focused, and you know, to not let yourself go and let yourself down, because like I said, only one can play, and things can change very, very quickly. After my year at Kilmarnock was very difficult, you know, especially in the beginning, to come to terms with what's just gone on, and you know, why things happen, and you know, you obviously don't agree with things, and yeah, but like I said, just have to stay focused and you know, keep training, and yeah, that's all you can do.
Because it was a wee while ago now, but I played goalkeeper at like youth level and pro youth level, and
Yeah,
even when you're like on the bench or you're in training, you sometimes feel like you're fighting that uphill battle. Like no matter what I do here, I'm on that bench on Saturday. And I think that's the testing part of it, is that it's
yeah, it's you know, obviously I said last season was very difficult because obviously I knew I'm not playing. So you know, you're going into the start of a week training hard and you know, doing well in training, but you still know you're not going to play. So you know, it's like I say, it is very, very difficult. But that's the choice of being a goalkeeper. You know, you've got to be mentally strong. You know, you got to be ready for each challenge every day. You know, every day brings something different. And like I said, things can change very quickly as well. You know, like my time in Scotland, you know, the first 10 games I didn't play. You know, the team did well. We won games, so I knew it was going to be unbelievable difficult to come in. And then, you know, the manager gave me a chance. I think we had a bad result against Aberdeen at home. Manager, you know, decided to change, and obviously it worked well. I think I kept 5 clean sheets in the first 5 games or something like this. So you know, you just got to stay ready and you know, stay focused, and because that's the worst thing that can happen if you don't get your chance and you're not ready mentally and physically. You know, that's what you can't let happen, and that's why it's you know, important to just always try and stay positive. It doesn't always work, you know. Obviously, if you're a goalkeeper, even as an outfielder, and you're not playing at the moment, you're not always going to be positive. You'll have bad days, and you'll be frustrated in some days, and in some trainings you'll find it difficult to motivate yourself. But you got to minimize those days, and like I said, just make sure you're always ready when the change or the chance comes.
Well, just looking on your Kilmarnock spell, it's the usual question anybody that comes down to Scotland is asked: did you know much about Kilmarnock?
Do I know much about Kilmarnock?
Well, did you know? I'm assuming you know a bit about them now, but did you know about them?
Oh yeah. Well, did I know much about? To be honest, I didn't. I knew the stadium. Why
is that?
That's about it, really.
Because
when I was young, I was at Ross County for about 6 weeks,
so
for about 4 weeks, and one of the games that I played was at a rugby park. So I stayed at the Park Hotel with Ross County, but that's so long. I think that's about 6 years ago now. But yeah, that's all I knew about Kilmarnock, and obviously I knew Steve Clarke and Chris Boyd and a few of the players' names, not personally, but obviously. Yeah, and that's about it. And I knew that Royal Troon's not far from there.
I mean, see, when you obviously had that, so I completely forgot that you had that spell at Ross County, because it was very brief. So when the idea of coming back to Scotland for a season was floated, I'm not saying that was in your head persuading you, but it must have been like, this was my first experience. Obviously, probably didn't play many games.
Yeah, so yeah, it came up. Obviously, that year I went on loan. It was already difficult to, get Watford on my side to let me go on loan, because they can be a bit tricky when it comes to this. Obviously, like I said, goalkeeper is a difficult position, and they need to back themselves. They need to make sure they're sorted first and foremost. And so yeah, I think it happened quite late, didn't it? I think I came up on the day of the first game of the season. So yeah, I remember my agent called me and said he spoke to Steve Clarke, and they want me to come up, and I just said, yeah, let's do it. That's it. I didn't really think about it much. I had a look where it is, made sure it's not near Inverness or somewhere up there. And yeah, that's it really. And then I flew up, and yeah, I went. But my first day, I went straight to the game. That was when I flew up. I remember on that day, first game of the season. I think it was against St Johnstone at home. Yeah, and I didn't really think much about my time I had in Scotland before, because it's a long time ago. It was 3 or 4 years before that. And things change. I just I wanted to play games. Obviously, with Steve Clarke, there was a high-profile manager there, which certainly helped. Yeah, and that was that really.
I mean, he certainly helped, because to you here now, I mean, as we record this, Scotland are currently playing, and he's the Scotland manager. But to you in the EFL and the Premier League, he'd been coaching at like Chelsea in Champions League finals, Aston Villa, these big clubs. So that must have been a big draw for you, that whilst you don't know him personally, he is a familiar face.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, like I said, it definitely helped. That they had that Kilmarnock had a high-profile name in Steve Clarke. He's a Chelsea legend. I remember I went to Soccer Aid last year, and I was at Stamford Bridge, and I got out of the lift where the boxes are. And the first box I walked past was the Steve Clarke box with a massive picture of him. So he obviously has a massive standing at Chelsea Football Club, one of the biggest clubs in the world. If you've got a box named after yourself. So yeah, no, it's it was good to have him there. I enjoyed working with him, and obviously we had a really successful season as well.
There was just something about that Steve Clarke command team, and obviously it's Alex Dyer now, so it's sort of a small contingency of that's going on at Kilmarnock now. But what was it that sort of clicked for him? Because everything that he did just seemed to turn to gold type thing.
Yeah, he definitely knew his players very, very well. That was probably one of the things that impressed me the most. But that was, I think, for me, that stood out. He knew the players he had to work with, and he knew how to make us play to do well and to get results. You see a lot of these days. You see a lot of teams that trying to play from the back, like the Barcelona with Messi and Busquets and Iniesta and whatever, and then Piqué and Ramos and whoever all the Spanish national team have at the back, and they just can't do that. But they keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. It just doesn't work. Whereas I think as a manager, you have to play with the players you've got. You've got to kind of fit around the players, go with the players you have. You can't force your style on some players that just don't have that kind of game in them. And that's what made us so successful, because every single player knew their role, what we had to do. And I think we put it on the pitch pretty much to perfection all season. Obviously, there was the odd game that wasn't so good, but that's going to happen over 38 or 40 whatever games with the cup games we had. So yeah, I think that was pretty much the thing that made us so good, that everyone knew what to do, and the manager used the players we had to perfection.
It always seems so laid back. Like when you watch like his media conferences and stuff, I don't think he knows how to smile. But from what I've heard, he's a completely different character in the changing room.
Yeah, he's quiet. He's very, very laid back. And sometimes we could get, I don't know, we could lose a game, and he would have the same facial expression as if we just beat Rangers 2-1 at home. It's no, but he was good. Obviously, like you said, he's very, very quiet, very laid back, very relaxed, and I think that also comes, that mirrors in the players, because we were always quite a laid back team, quite relaxed, and when it mattered, we went. There was never any panic on the pitch, or whatever the situation was. If we were losing, for example, the game against Rangers at home. We were losing 1-0. I think, yeah, we were losing the one in January when we won 2-1. When I think JJ scored the winner after he's already signed for them, I think.
Do you get stuck in the dressing room after that one?
There was never any panic on the pitch, and he gave us that feeling from the dressing room, and Aldi as well. Aldi was the one that was a bit more upbeat, and was the one that I wouldn't say got the lads going a bit more, but he was just a bit more bubbly than Steve Clarke was. But yeah, I was very impressed, obviously, the whole season. Like I said, that I don't have a bad thing to say about either of the staff, and it was just a very successful year for the club and for myself as well.
Did Jordan Jones get stick after that goal he scored against Rangers?
I can't remember. I'd like to say yeah, but I really can't remember what we said after the dressing room. I just remember it was a really enjoyable win. That was probably the win I enjoyed the most all season. I remember it was freezing cold. Yeah, it was, and obviously to come back from 1-0 down. I think it was 1-0 at half time, wasn't it? Yeah, so that shows a lot of character, and I think we were under quite a bit of pressure as well towards the end. But yeah, we were very good at keeping clean sheets, at defending well, making good decisions in the right areas, and yeah, it was I think that was my favourite win all season, I've got to say.
I think you're seeing that really. I don't know how much of you watch of the Scotland national team, what Steve Clarke does, but you can definitely see that in the last few games, especially that they are starting. At first, it was sort of a transition, but now they're starting to grind out 1-0 wins.
Yeah, I watched the game against Israel. I watched the semi-final. I watched the whole game. It wasn't a pretty game, but I don't think our games were pretty either. To be fair though, especially first half of the season, I think we had some unbelievable games where we defended very, very well. We were solid at the back, and then going forward, we had some great movements and great football. It wasn't just that we just defended and kicked the ball. We just didn't take any risks at the back. Let's put it that way. We didn't take any risks at the back, and going forward, I remember we scored some very, very good goals. Whether it was Greg Stewart, Brophy, Berkey, I think there was some unbelievable goals. Mika scored a few nice goals as well, and yeah, we played some really, really nice football. But yeah, that's what I mean. What I said before with Steve Clarke, he knows his players, and he knows the players he has in Scotland, especially at the back. They're not going to play football like Otamendi or Lindelof or I don't know, David Luiz, Gabriel from Arsenal. They're not going to do it, and he doesn't try that either. And I think that's what makes him a very good manager, because he just knows his players, and because if he would have, like I said, some top footballing centre backs at the back, he would play from the back as well. But the players we had and he had, they have different qualities. We were just unbelievable defenders, and winning every single header, winning tackles, and that's what we were the best at, and that's why we did so well.
No, even though Scotland have got these wins, he's had his critics because it's not free-flowing football and they're not beating teams 3-4-0. But I don't know, for you as a goalkeeper as well, is there something quite satisfying about grinding out these 1-0?
Yeah, obviously, especially I think in international football, it's all about results. It doesn't really matter how you play; it's all about results because you have such a small amount of games. You just need to win them. That's all that matters, and it doesn't matter how. No one's going to ask. I know just the big, that's taken far away. But if Scotland win the Euros next year, for example, yeah, and they just grind out 0-0s and win 1-0 and 0-0 and win on penalties, and no one's going to talk about that after. You're going to talk about that they're the champions of Europe, and especially in international football, it's all about results. It's all about winning games. It is in football in general, but I think with international football, because you have so little time to prepare and players from different teams, and so yeah, it's all about winning games. And if you grind results out, if you have a bad day and you hang at the back and you struggle and you fight for your life and you try and keep the ball out with all costs, like you said, especially for defenders and goalkeepers, these are the best wins or clean sheets or whatever it ends up being.
I'm sure all the Kilmarnock fans and Scotland fans will be hoping that your prediction for Scotland winning the Euro Championships next year comes to fruition under Steve Clarke's guidance. Potentially, I wouldn't they complain?
Pardon?
I wouldn't complain if your prediction came to fruition.
No, like I said, obviously they've got a big game thing. It's 12th of November against, is it Serbia?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's a tough game. Is it in Serbia or in Scotland? I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, it's in Serbia. So they've been lucky. Yeah, games that they've played them all at Hampden. This round of national fixtures as we record this. But
I think one thing that's going to help them will be make it a lot easier with the current situation is there won't be fans, and if you play in Serbia with fans, it's not pleasant. It's not nice.
Have you played there with fans before?
With the under-21s, not with the first team. But it's just even there, it was just nasty. It makes it difficult. So that's definitely a part where it takes the home advantage for Serbia, which is really big for them. That takes it away completely. So that's one positive. And I think if they defend how they did against Israel, because both, obviously Scotland didn't have a single shot on target, I think, and Israel didn't have either. So I think they can definitely grind that result there for sure. And then once you're at the Euros, because it's such a small tournament, and if you defense wins you championships, that's like from basketball saying really, defense wins you the championship. But it's such small, short spurt, like the Euros World Cup, where you have like 4 weeks, 3-4 weeks. The defending means a lot, because if you keep a clean sheet, you don't lose the game. It's an easy saying, but it's true. If you don't if you don't concede, there's no way you can lose the game. So, once you're at the Euros, I think all teams have a chance. You know what I mean? If you're there, you definitely have a chance.
No, just looking back to spell at Kilmarnock, it seems we've detailed on international football. One person that was there as well would have been Alex Dyer, who's obviously manager there now. Just what was he like? Because he seems to, perhaps taking a wee bit time to get going at Kilmarnock. He now seems to have found his feet in that job.
Yeah, I've had a really good relationship with Al. Everybody had really, everybody liked him. Everybody likes him. Everybody gets on well with him. It's his first job in professional football as the first team manager, which is obviously I think it's great for him and he deserves that chance, and I think he's doing pretty well. I think Kilmarnock was sitting 6th in the table, if I'm not wrong. Yeah,
they were sitting around about mid-table before this COVID started.
Yeah, I think that the start was pretty tough, but then once the first win came, from what I saw, it was the 4-0 against Dundee. Was it Dundee? I think it was
Dundee United, yeah.
And then 1-0 at, was it St Mirren last week?
Yes,
that's obviously that's great wins. There's no easy games in any professional league. But Scotland, I think, is similar to the Championship. With grinding out results and physical and physically very demanding, and details count. It's it's a tough league, and I don't think it gets as much credit as it should get, in my opinion. Obviously, I've been there now a full season a couple of years ago, and I definitely think it should get more credit, especially down south in England. In Europe, I think the standing of Scottish football is better than Scottish people would think. Obviously, I'm from Austria, and the Scottish League in Austria is definitely seen higher as the Austrian League. So it does have a better standing in Scotland. Obviously, with the two old firm clubs help that picture. In international football, obviously with Celtic and Rangers, being two massive clubs in world football. But yeah, I think that the league doesn't get as much credit as it deserves, in my opinion.
Because I think that is the thing with the English Championship, especially. I think a lot of fans don't, even for League One. I think overall it's probably, if you look at your like your Aberdeens, Hibs, Hearts when they're at full pelt, are probably Championship-sized clubs. But a lot of fans of English football seem to sort of think, well, players-wise, because they are made up of former players from your likes of Fleetwood Town, teams like they aren't as good at Championship level, when they probably are.
Yeah, I think it's tough to compare the leagues. I think it's difficult to say, well, the Scottish Premier League is like the Championship standard, like from the standard. But it's like I said, it's tough to compare. But it's it's definitely a lot better than people say, in my opinion. Obviously, everyone's opinion is different, and that's fair enough. But yeah, I think obviously I'm speaking for myself now, but I've had a great year there. I thought all the games were really competitive. We play in front of some great crowds as well. I think, like I said, it's tough to compare leagues and say, well, it's like the Championship or it's like League One or whatever it is. I just think it's got its own very good standard, and I think it doesn't get as much credit as it should get.
Just overall in your time in Kilmarnock, then, how do you sort of view it? Be fair to say that it was perhaps the best spell of games you've had in your career so far? Yeah,
it was definitely the time of my career that I look back to, the happiest, over the last 4 or 5 years of. It was just overall, it was just a great year because, my family was happy there. We lived in Glasgow. We lived in Glasgow. We enjoyed living there. My wife liked it there. My son liked it there. It was just overall, it was really, really nice. Obviously, I enjoyed going to training every day. Training was great. And then obviously it helped that, that we had such a successful season as well. That helps, when you go, like I said, I think the first 4 or 5 games I kept clean sheets. And when you start like that when you start your career like that, going into a new club and obviously just, taking over, I think after 10 games or so it was, you go into games feeling like, well, no one's going to beat us. No one's going to score here. And that's just a great feeling to have. There's nothing better for a goalkeeper personally, but for as a whole, as the team, we're in the dressing room before the game and we went out on the pitch thinking, well, we're going to win this game. There's nothing else that's going to happen today. We're just going to win this game. So yeah, it was just a great year overall. Obviously, like I said, off the pitch, my family was happy. I got on really well with all the lads. It's, probably one of the nicest and best dressing rooms I've ever been in, with the togetherness of the group. And it was very, very good.
There was rumours flying about sort of summertime, maybe even January as well, if I'm mistaken. I can see the sly smile. You obviously know what I'm talking about the potential Bachmann return. There was all the Batman photos getting posted up on Twitter. Are you meant to be coming back? Was there anything in them?
Nothing in January. In the summer, yes, there was talks.
All right. Would you have been, given what you said about Watford and loans, I'm assuming just because you are number 2 there, that it just wouldn't have been possible? Yeah,
he was. Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. He was pretty serious. He wasn't just talks. Obviously, I spoke to Aldi quite a lot, and obviously then things changed towards their start of pre-season and obviously our end to the season. It just didn't happen, but it was very close to happen. Yeah, it was. So that everything that was in the newspaper was pretty true. Obviously, I read the stuff myself. I got a lot of things on Twitter, and yeah, it was true. There was pretty advanced talks. Let's put it that way.
It's almost like they were trying to rekindle that Steve Clarke squad. You had Yusuf Malumbo come back. You had Aaron Tishbo. Still get Buck, Dicker, Brophy there. Few more have been fine.
Yeah. You know, obviously, like I said, I'll, you know, in the future, you never know what happens. You know, I'll always look at Kilmarnock score, follow them on Twitter, Instagram, everything. You know, I'll always keep in touch with the lads. I speak to, you know, Gary Dicker quite regular, and so you know, you never know what happens in the future. You know, I'm still only young, but yeah, you know, don't know however many years, you know, whatever happens, I can definitely see myself go back to Kilmarnock at some point in my career.
But for now, you're a Watford player, so looking ahead to the sort of, I mean, it's already started. I mean, it's quite weird. I keep speaking as if the season's like just started, but we're already a month into it. It's just a crazy time. What are your obviously Premier League return will be on the cards for Watford as a whole, and personally, what are you aiming for? Number one gloves?
Yeah, obviously, you know, like I said, I want to play, and you know, I want to play on Friday. Obviously, we're playing at Derby on Friday, and you know, before every game, before every training week, I go into the week, you know, thinking I'm going to play. You know, I know I'm close. I know I'm not far away, so I've just got to be ready. And hopefully, you know, sooner rather than later, things will turn. And like I said, there's a lot of games. We've still got 42 games left, which is a lot. It's you know, it's going to be an exciting season for us, and we know as a squad there's quite a bit of pressure on us as well, because you know, it used to be, you know, main target was to stay up, and then depending on how it goes, you know, establish yourself in the midfield, come close to 10, wherever it was in the Premier League. And now it's a case of, you know, if we draw a game, it's, well, what's happened to Watford? So, you know, it's, you know, things have changed a little bit. We're the favourites now, or one of the favourites to go up for sure. So yeah, we got to enjoy that, you know, that pressure we have now of, you know, expected to win games, expected to keep clean sheets, expected to score a lot of goals and to perform well. And like I said, at the end of the day, you know, we'll lose games. We'll lose quite a few games this season. You know, out of 46 games, you'll lose games. The main thing is that we win, you know, win a lot more, which I'm sure we will do. And yeah, hopefully, you know, be in the top two at the end of the season.